Welcome back to Humboldt State Tonight. Tom Wood making his second appearance here on Humboldt State Tonight and finally in the new gym. And I'm sure that's been a theme for you, Coach. Finally in the new gym. What do you think about your new digs?
It's great. You know, it's really airy, very spacious. Our kids are really like the newness of it. The people that will come here will soon find that it's has a great environment. It's quite loud, and every seat in the building you can see the floor pretty darn well. So we're excited about it and excited to be opening up here and get this thing going, this season going.
It's got to be exciting for recruits, too, when you bring a kid in. You know, for the longest time, East Gym, yeah, is a great place, but I'm sure there are kids who played in bigger, nicer places when they were in high school. I was in watching your practice the other day, and I was like, you know what? That looks like a college team practicing in a college gymnasium.
Well, I think it's going to help us for sure. The East Gym was a wonderful home for us for a lot of years, and we were very successful there. But you know, we did a lot of nice things to the old building, but the bottom line, it was an older gym, and this is a nice, new, fresh digs, as you say. And I think bringing a recruit in here, they're going to look around and say, wow, this looks like a college arena.
And, of course, a lot of new recruits on this team. You're 4 games in, but, of course, the Disney Classic was your first test for your squad. What are your thoughts on your new Lumberjacks?
Well, we are young. We are inexperienced and as a group. You know, the thing that just jumps out right out at us after practice, after the 3 games of the Disney Classic and the game against Southern Oregon, was that defensively we just have a hard time, as I like to put it, guarding our lunch. You know, we have a hard time getting the guys in the right spot. Individually, we don't defend the ball real well one-on-one, and as a team, we're not really a cohesive unit yet guarding someone. So we got to correct that. And if we do that, then I think we're going to be able to score points. We just got to keep other people from doing the same to us.
Okay, now for guys like me, you know, 4 games in, so many question marks. I guess people are scared of what they don't know. And then that game against Fort Lewis, a very winnable game, and then you see just that game right there. Let's forget about the game itself, but I think like a lot of Lumberjack fans, I took a sigh of relief and be like, okay, these guys are going to be okay. They're just fine. Would you agree with that, or did you have relief? Or
no, I felt the same way. You know, we played with a great deal of emotion. It was our first game. We hadn't even had any exhibition games to speak of. We had a couple of green and gold scrimmages. So we went down there and we battled pretty well against, albeit a very good team that's going to kind of favor to win their conference. Reality hit the next night, however, when we all of a sudden took our young group out on the floor against a real polished, seasoned team. Out of a very good conference. They've had a number of games, and you know, they were much further ready than we were. Their warm-ups were even more smoother than ours, and it just got out of hand a little bit. To our credit, the third night we came back and beat a very good Anchorage team. So there was hope, there was little hope, and now there's hope again. And so that's how it's going to be with a young team. I think you're on that roller coaster ride.
now, athletic director Dan Collin, he told me he saw you. You looked disheveled after the game, sitting by yourself after the 50-point loss, and he asked you, "Hey, coach, it's okay." And you kind of looked up and said, "Well, Danny, I much prefer beating someone by 50 than losing by 50.
No, there's nothing you can do. We felt broken. You know, the coaching staff, we looked at each other and said, "Wow, you know, that wasn't quite what we had wanted." It's been a long, long years before that happened previous to us, but. That night I went back and started thinking about how many times this coach has been beaten, and I got to about 9. I quit counting. So the next morning I relayed that story to the players that, you know, the sun came up. We didn't feel good about ourselves, nor should we, but you know, the game of the athletics and the sports, team sports, you have a chance to get feeling good about yourself by winning, and that's what we did. And so, you know, there's going to be a time this season, hopefully pretty soon, where that game will be a long-distance memory. Right now, guys like you keep bringing it up. It's kind of bugging us.
What do you mean, Coach? I know you've been on the other end of some of those before, and I like what you said. Of course, you got to forget about it. Now, Disneyland, we haven't talked to you since the Disney Classic. Now, off the court, you know, what was it like? I mean, were the guys running around with Mickey Mouse and Goofy? Or look, a lot of people have said this is the best tournament to go to outside of, obviously, the actual playoffs. Was it fun? What was the off-court experience like at the Disney Classic?
I think it was a great experience for our players. I think they'll remember that experience for a long time. I think you mentioned Goofy. We were Goofy. I don't know if we saw Goofy himself, but we had a good time. It was really well ran. It wasn't really greatly attended. We had 4 teams from a distance, you know, so it wasn't a lot of local fans getting there, that's for sure. But we had, probably the best crowds of anybody with our alumni and our supporters from the Southern California area came out and watched us. but it was a great experience, really well ran. It probably was a little early in the year for the youthful Lumberjacks, but we learned a lot. We came home knowing a little bit more about ourselves, and probably feeling that we got knowing now what we have to work on in order to improve. It exposed us for who we are, exposed a lot of things we do well as things we need to work on. So the experience was great. The games were fun. I think it was at a time when we needed to play games, but at the same time it was kind of early with this young team. But you know, the season's going to come up on us. We can't stop it. It
Right.
keeps coming, so we're going to be ready to go.
And of course, Coach, I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the brackets and something like that, and that resembles, you know, a big-time tournament. But with that said, let's go to the emails. Let's go to the hand here to bring in the question. And your email is always welcome, jb@jbmathers.com. This comes from Sarah in Arcata. Coach Wood, what is your favorite ride at Disneyland, and how do you like to spend your time at the amusement park? Again, Sarah, thank you.
Well, I only went there when they took all the teams over and we went on that California soaring. You know, that was pretty special. It seemed like it was about 10 minutes, and maybe it wasn't quite that long, but that was a lot of fun, and that was the only time I got there. So the rest of the time I was locked up, feeling sorry for myself, or trying to prepare for the next game.
Okay, well, Coach, we'll have to drag you out there. You know, have you got any grandkids you want to send in Coach Wood's off season? I'm sure instead of golf, he would love to be out and take the kids out to Disneyland or Disney World. Coach, thank you. Dan Pambianco is going to come up next, and he actually, of course, the voice of the Jacks on the road. He's got a lot of great footage that he took while he was in Disneyland, so we'll see what Coach Wood and the boys were up to. Don't forget, folks, you can always catch the show right here, 6 o'clock, Fox 29, courtesy of Eureka Television Group. And if you miss a show, you can catch it at 2 different spots. You can go to jbmathers.com, or, as always, you can go to YouTube and type in Tom Wood or Dan Collin or whomever and check it out, and we'll get you set up. So Dan Pambianco, the voice of the Jacks on the road, and a guy who makes guys like me look good, he'll be coming up next right here on Humboldt State Tonight.
Interception. The commission of the More Taste League. Bingo. You fellows have gotten your hands on some non-sanctioned light beer?
There was a big shiny display.
The league only recognizes light beer with more taste and the scant 3.2 grams of carbs. That's the yin and the yang, the bud and the bing of light beer. Yes.
So which beers are league approved?
Beer, singular, Miller Lite.
Commission's wise.
Amen!
The official beer of the More Taste League. Miller Lite, great taste, less filling.
Blackjack is one of the most popular table games here at Bear River Casino. Let me show you how it's played. You need to get closer to 21 than the dealer without going over. Once you place your bet, you get 2 cards and the dealer gets 2 with 1 face up. If you have a 17 or better, you have a pretty good hand. If you have an 11 or less, take another card. You can't break. When the dealer has 7 or better showing, it's usually a good idea to hit until you get 17, then stay and see what happens. Ask the dealer if you need help and come play blackjack at Bear River Casino.